We've only had one practice so far, so everything's fairly early in the weekend. Didn't really get off to a very good start for me. I had a top injector, number 3, go out in the opening laps of the first practice. So I had to come in and spend some time putting a new injector in. And then my first sort of flying lap after I got back out on the circuit, I crashed at Druids, which is fortunately the slowest corner on the track, but still a crash. Still had to come back in the pits, fix the damage, get the bike going again, and get back out on track. And yeah, just didn't really get a fantastic lap time, and nor did I get many laps in to improve the package overall. So we've got plenty of information just from a few laps that I did do. Fortunately, because I've ridden in this series for so many years, I kind of know what the bike should do. I don't have to sort of like ride around and wait for the bike to come to me, sort of thing. I know exactly how it should feel right from the offset. So yeah, the engineers, mechanics that are just down there now making a few tweaks to the bike, try and put it back in sort of a feeling that I'm accustomed to, and something that gives me confidence to go quicker. This is the rider chat show part of the day. So Pete and I just go over a few details about how it feels on track, and also throw some questions out to you guys. So welcome. You know, the temperature today in the first session was quite high, so it probably made the track a little greasy. Also, another thing we recognise as riders during the weekend, provided it doesn't rain, the track actually gets better and better as the weekend goes on. More and more laps, even all the smaller categories, we all ride on very much similar part of the track. So the track gets cleaned up and rubbered in better as the weekend goes on. So it did feel particularly hot and greasy this morning, but it kind of makes sense. High track temperature and early session of the day. So we've got high expectations to do far better results this afternoon. So fingers crossed I can do that. Overnight, we kind of put our heads together, kind of put a combination together we thought should work today based on what we got wrong yesterday. And fortunately, it did turn out for the better. We went third fastest in the pre-practice 3. Didn't make any changes really for qualifying, just new tyre, went again, and I went quicker in the qualifying but ended up 4th. So actually that's quite good. I think, yeah, from where I was and where we've been in the last few rounds and where I've qualified in general this year, to be 4th in qualifying is actually a really good positive step. So yeah, now I've just got to, you know, we're not going to make any further changes. I think the package that we've got is the strongest we can, you know, start the race with. Any changes we make before the race would be a guess or a calculated guess. And even then, I think it's too much of a risk in case we kind of just go a bit the wrong way. So we're just going to run with the bike more or less as it was in qualifying, and do the race. The bike will perform a bit different with the full tank fuel load. In practice and qualifying, we're running not the minimum, but, you know, say half a fuel tank load. You don't need to carry around a whole tank of fuel if you don't need it. So for the beginning of the race, the bike might be a little bit out of the window of where I've been used to it being in qualifying, but that should actually be much the same for everyone on the grid. Yeah, quite optimistic, get a good start, settle into a rhythm, and we should have some good pace for the race.
Correct on that. Could it happen? Could that podium happen today?
I hate to correct you, Larry, but I was on the front row of the grid at Knock Hill.
Yeah, well, apart from that,
yeah.
First time in England.
Yeah. No, any time I'm up here near the front, I'm pleased. It's some of the the best days you can have is racing around Brands Hatch with the sun out and the fans like we've got here today. So yeah, all smiles all around.
Yeah, I'd love to see you today, Jeff. Good luck.
Went out in race one. We can only say possibly we got a bad tyre or something. I don't know. The bike, from the best of my understanding, was all the same as we had in qualifying, and I couldn't get anywhere near my best lap time, and I just went from fourth and just slowly drifted back through the race and really wasn't able to perform not only to my best but also dropped my lap times. As the race went on, I progressively got worse. Very out of character for my riding style and me in general. So we looked over everything on the bike. There wasn't anything visibly or we could understand that would cause that sort of a lack of performance. We had overnight to do some work, and the guys set about doing some changes to the bike to try and improve, but I think it might have been a false change. I think the bike was probably better how it was in qualifying, but because we had a bad first race, the mechanics thought it's needed to make some changes to bring the bike back into a competitive range. And I think maybe the changes we made were false changes on the back of a bad tyre perhaps yesterday. It's the only thing that makes sense. We haven't got anything to prove these facts. It's just a theory, but it's just the only thing that kind of makes sense, because the bike didn't really perform as good as it did the day before, even with another tyre in. So we're going to go back to the settings we had in qualifying, try and recover that confidence I had, because the bike was performing really well in those sessions, and yeah, hopefully I can pull a better race, put a better race together for the final, and something that you can all get behind us about.
Classic photograph one day.
It's a classic photo now. For me, the circuit here is quite calm. If you walk around it, there's no bumps. Well, there are some bumps, but in general, it's a smooth track. You can see everything. Everything's visible. The tarmac is all predictable and universal conditions all the way around. So we create the intensity by how we ride. We're trying to find the maximum of every corner, like Pete said. But at the TT, nothing's the same. Every section of the track is different in camber, in track surface, in track temperature, weather conditions. Everything about the track is intense, and we're trying to calm it all down with the way we ride. We've got to ride smooth on the throttle, smooth on the brake. Where here it's all about grabbing the brake really hard and grabbing hold of the throttle and throwing the bike on its side. You can't bring those methods of riding to the TT because you'll just be slower. Probably you'll crash if you ride with that intensity. But if you didn't crash, you just wouldn't put a very good lap time together. So because the track is so intense in the way that it is, it's a natural street circuit. It hasn't got any perfections in it like the circuit does here. So we have to sort of ride in such a neutral position on the bike and very smooth and predictable manner to try and calm everything down. It's kind of been up and down. I'm tired of making excuses, so the best thing I can say is I don't know what's gone wrong. We were quite good in qualifying with fourth. I had built expectation on that basis that we were going to have a good race. And the first race, it just didn't come together. I just slowly drifted back through the pack, and yeah, quite disappointed. I'm sure everybody was. And then the next two races was, trying to understand how we could be strong in qualifying and not be able to turn that into a race result. So we tried some different stuff with the bike, but that didn't prove any better. So then we went back to the settings for the final race that we had in qualifying, which it was probably still the best version of settings that we have, but obviously for race distance, it's still not good enough. So yeah, I find myself sat here a little frustrated with again with another weekend lower than what we believe we're capable of.